Hi, scapegoats are created from someone using tactics against us, and the tactics are pretty similar across the board. This is why when many of us leave that role of a scapegoat, as we start waking up trying to overcome, we kind of face similar issues, and it's primarily because we've been through the same thing. We were created with from the same type of tactics. Hi, my name is Olivia. I'm very passionate about helping you understand what relational trauma is so that you can heal, overcome, and ultimately move on with your life. So today, everything is coming from Scapegoat No More Forever. You can find it on Amazon. We're going to look at a couple of the tactics that are used to create a scapegoat, and you can see if any of these might apply to you. So the first one we're going to talk about is toxic shame and guilt. So John Bradshaw wrote a book called Healing the Shame That Binds You. And in there, he separates shame and guilt from toxic shame and guilt. So he looks at the fact that you're going to experience guilt and shame in your life. That's just a natural part of being alive. When you experience the pain from something that's humiliating, that is shameful. So you can experience shame, and that is completely normal. Just like when you do something wrong and you feel guilt, that's a very natural response to having done something wrong. So those are not, they don't feel good. They're not pleasant. They're not supposed to be pleasant because they're meant to get us to change our behavior. But when we have toxic guilt and shame, that's where someone's trying to force their shame on you, or making you feel ashamed for something that you don't have a part in, or for something that is not your responsibility to own. So they want to sort of like trample you or get you lower than you are so you can feel really bad. And usually it's a transference of their shame, and they can do that in many ways. Same thing with guilt, expecting you to feel like you've done something wrong, or they just caught you doing something wrong and now you need to feel so guilty. All of that is meant to kind of trample you and start to trample and take away your rights. So it's really important to understand the difference between something that is shameful or something you feel guilty for, and then how do you address that? But then also, what is toxic guilt and what is toxic shame? Because we know a lot of scapegoats tend to struggle with toxic guilt, but we're calling that guilt when actually it's toxic guilt. So a good tip, which I may have shared in the last video as well, is if you feel guilty, you want to ask yourself, what is it I've done? Or what is it I believe I've done? And if you can't find where you actually created an offense or you did something wrong, then we have to be mindful, okay, this is toxic guilt. This just comes from me having been scapegoated. So those are really effective tactics in disarming a person and creating a scapegoat, right? If I can get that toxic guilt on you, that toxic shame, now I have like an upper hand over you because I'm morally better than you and you're under here, and now you owe me something. You have to pay a penance, right? So thinking of that, that's first tactic, toxic game, toxic guilt, toxic shame. I guess toxic game is them combined. Okay, so that's the first one. The second one is a smear campaign. So a smear campaign is when someone runs your name into the ground or they smear your name into the mud. So when someone is talking bad about you, saying, what a villain you are, what a monster you are, and it could be huge lies. There could be not an ounce of truth in a smear campaign, and many smear campaigns are nothing but lies. But most times the person who is being lied to about you is not going to come ask you these great big lies, because they are usually humiliating, they're shocking, they're deplorable, right? And so you would think, like, who would lie about that? If that wasn't true, this person wouldn't tell me. But actually people can. Someone can create a smear campaign and there could be zero truth to it. So when someone creates a smear campaign against you, it's really effective in handcuffing you, because now we're going to worry, are you going to say something else bad about me? So let me try to go above and beyond and try to prove to you how good I am so you never smear my name again, because I don't want more people to hate me. I already feel guilty. I already feel like I'm bad, because that is what goes into creating a scapegoat. So hopefully you're kind of connecting the dots. So that toxic guilt, toxic shame, I'm already being guilted. I'm already being shamed when I haven't actually done anything wrong. But over time, you're convincing me I'm terrible. And now you're telling everyone else how terrible I am. Now I really don't have any rights. I really feel like I have to do anything you ask. Make sure that you're happy all the time. sacrifice my own boundaries and my own life for whatever it is you want because I'm so afraid you're going to run my name into the ground. So that's a smear campaign. It is so effective. It gets in our psyche, gets in our minds, and then, we operate based off of the fear of it happening, when the truth is it's lies to begin with. So it doesn't matter what your behavior is. Someone's going to say whatever they're going to say if they need you to be the bad guy. So that's the second thing that goes into creating a scapegoat, is a smear campaign, and it is rough to deal with that. The last one we're going to talk about is abandonment, or the fear of abandonment. Scapegoats are often abandoned, and then they're called back, and then they're abandoned again, and then they're called back. So they're really just used for whatever the other person needs, whether they need someone to do something for them, someone to build them up, someone to do their dirty work, someone to take on their shame. Whatever their need is, they can call the scapegoat, but then they're going to abandon them again and again and again. So that fear of rejection, which is really driven by the fear of abandonment, is very powerful. So even a perceived abandonment, so someone could be threatening to leave if you don't do A, B, and C someday, then they're going to have enough, or any other way. They could even emotionally abandon you. Even if it's not a physical abandonment, they could just cut you off emotionally, ice you out emotionally. So that is a form of punishment, and it's also a form of abandonment. And if you've ever been emotionally or physically abandoned, it feels really, really bad. It feels so horrible that it can really settle into us and always be present in the back of our minds. They're always thinking they could leave, because the thought of someone being able to leave you can be scary, but when someone has left you over and over, you're very aware that it's a real thing and they could really take you or leave you. So once you understand that, then it really becomes a whole new level of walking on eggshells. It's even more important for you to try to be there for them, try to do everything for them, you tend to see them as fragile. You tend to think of their needs as way more important than theirs. So we really go to work at giving more and more and more. So you can kind of see how this game of scapegoat and these tactics that are used against a scapegoat, they're really effective in trapping someone, because it's really mental. I mean, it is also physical at times, but it's always just this mind game, and it's teaching you you're not enough. You're not good enough for me to stick around. You're not good enough for me to be true to. You're not good enough for me to be loyal to. You're not good enough for me to see you as an individual with needs, as a person. You're really just here for my disposal. So don't stop being valuable to me, or I'm going to dispose you, after I'm also teaching you that you need me. It's very, very confusing. So you can see it's really not that easy to just cut someone off that's treating you poorly, when this is the tactics, or these are the tactics that have been used to shape the relationship that you have, usually with someone you love. That's another added category to it. You love the person who's scapegoating you, and that's what makes it very, very difficult to just walk away and be done. So again, these are just a few of the tactics that go into developing and creating a scapegoat. We can kind of see, wow, all this toxic guilt and toxic shame that's heaped on someone gets them to believe that they're bad. And then the smear campaign is ran on them. They're told how terrible they are to people that they love and care about, and they never have a chance to explain themselves. Not only that, but then they are abandoned over and over and over. They're picked up and then dropped off, picked up, dropped off, over and over and over. So it's very painful and very difficult. Again, you can find this on Amazon.com. It's a Scapegoat No More Forever. Also, if you want to watch more videos, there's a playlist that I will link above. And I'll also leave a few videos that you might be interested to help you on your journey to overcoming relational trauma. So take good care, and I'll see you in the next one.